More Christians murdered in Nigeria. A former drug smuggler now runs a secret Bible distribution center. And government spends $138,000 to ask 4-year-olds about their internal sense of gender identity. Bible News Radio starts right now.
So thou, O son of man, I have set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, thou shalt hear the word of my mouth, and warn them from me.
Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Middle Tennessee and examining current events from a biblical perspective, this is Bible News Radio with your hosts, Randall and Stacy Harp.
Just so you know, I can't see the monitor. There we can. Now I can see it. Hello, people. Happy Tuesday. Conversation with just me, and I trust you 'cause you understand. And you take my hand, you sweep me away in your peace, and then we start to dance. And I'm singing like, Lord, you know I love your love. Your love's amazing to choose somebody like me. Now I'm gonna follow your lead. If they think I'm crazy, I don't care. I'll say, hey, I can't say enough. How you lay down your life so we could be free. So now I'm gonna follow your lead. Come on now, follow his lead. You are love and I worship you. Whatever you say, I will do. You have my heart, show me the truth. Elohim, breathe on me. Hey. Let your glory fill this room till everything smells just like you. Every day discovering something brand new. Elohim, breathe on me. Holy, 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 holy. Elohim, breathe in me. Holy, 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 holy. Elohim, breathe through me. Holy, holy, I love this song, you guys. Elohim, breathe on me. Every day you're making me someone brand new. You are love and I worship you. Weak, I had no strength left but to cry. That's when you showed me just how great you are. 'Cause you saw me, told me I'd never be lonely. Show me you heard every word I pray. We talk for hours and hours Trace. About your spirit and power and Larissa gonna be okay. And glimpse of eternity. I found Trisha. Found a way where there was no way. I'm singing like, Lord, you know I love your love. Your love's amazing to choose somebody like me. And you know I'm gonna follow your lead. If they think I'm crazy, I don't care. I'll say, hey, I can't say enough. How you lay down your life so we could be free. So now I'm gonna follow your lead. Come on now, follow his lead. Hey, you are love and I worship you. Whatever you say, I will do. You have my heart, show me the truth. Can you believe this? Okay, bye. Let your glory fill this room till everything smells just like you. Every day discovering something brand new. Elohim, breathe on me. Holy, 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 holy. Elohim, breathe in me. Holy, 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 holy. Elohim, breathe through me. Holy, holy, holy. All right, so that is a song by it's called Shape of You by Beckah Shae. Beckah Shae. I can talk, really. At least I can try to talk. It says here, if Ed Sheeran's, quote, Shape of You, unquote, were a Christian song by Beckah Shae. So I don't know this Ed guy, but I probably could look it up, right? But why would I want to do that? You know, I could just be a middle-aged woman who isn't aware of all the music out there. Just so you know. Anyway. So, you guys, thank you for coming in. I want to welcome all of you to the show and, you know, just tell you I'm really glad that you're here. Chastity King, welcome to your first day on Periscope. I hope you enjoy the show. I am Stacy Lynn Harp, your sweet and lovable host. You can see that right there. Right there. It's in writing, just so you know. And legitimately, if it's in writing, it must be true, right? No. That's so not true. Don't even say that. Oh, yeah, I'm awesome. It's in writing. No. That's not even funny. All right. So, hey, I got to tell you guys, earlier today, I had the opportunity to talk to Dolly Parton.
Yes, that Dolly Parton. The one and only Dolly Parton. And if you're a pillar of our community, then I want to let you know that we shared some of that interview. That was actually a press conference. Because here's what happened, right? Okay, so Dolly has a brand new worship CD coming out. It's for children. And it's actually really interesting because in her 50-year history in music, she's never done a CD for kids, right? Well, Dolly Parton, apparently, you know, she's got a really great passion for children, and we're gonna just block some of these people here. Sorry, the trolleys are bugging me. So anyway, long story short, I got a press release, and I requested an interview. They initially gave it to me, and then they said, "Oops, no, we can't do that because there's too many people who want interviews with her, because Dolly Parton is like the top Christian country, actually the top country artist in the world, right? I mean, you know her name, right? So everybody knows her name. Anyway, long story short, so they went ahead and they did a press conference, and it turned out that, you know, there was about 20 people on the call, people in press, and Bible News Radio was there. It was me, and I got to ask her a question. So they called on me second, so I actually got the number 2 question, which is cool. Probably because it's Bible News Radio. I'm not sure if it was because I actually showed up on time and they took my name first. I don't know, but anyway, I asked her a question about her song, which is called what was it called? Making fun. Yeah, making fun ain't funny, right? Okay. And so I asked her a question about that, because this song is about bullying. And it's interesting because I've actually got a preview copy of the CD that comes out in digital form on the 29th of September, and it's available everywhere else after October 13th. And so, you know, she talked about how bullying is you know, unfortunately a prevalent thing, and people are going and leading to, you know, suicide and things like that. Homosexuality didn't come up, just so you know, but I do know that it is definitely tied into that because of the whole politically correct environment. Aside from the fact that I would also add that Christians are being bullied, but it doesn't get the press that the gay community gets, just so you know. And I would put it under the umbrella of Christian persecution, right? So anyway, she also has a song on there called Chemo Hero, which is about children with cancer. And she actually talked a little bit about that because somebody else asked a question. And, you know, interestingly, most of the questions that were asked had nothing to do with her CD. They were mostly questions that had to do with her and her career, which I kind of was just so, as a person who has interviewed people for 12 years, I find it irritating when when an interviewer actually doesn't stick to the topic at hand, right? I mean, it's like, hey, we're here to promote this CD of yours, but we want to talk about, you know, what your childhood was like. I mean, it just drives me crazy. But anyway, I know that people, you know, who admire her and stuff, they were excited. And then the funny thing is the interview got abruptly ended, and there were some people, unfortunately, who didn't get to ask her a question. So I was one of the few that actually did. So that was very cool. And so tomorrow we'll get the audio, and then we'll be able to run the whole interview later next month when she does her full-on launch for the new CD, which incidentally is called I Believe in You, and the proceeds of that will go to help children everywhere. So, just so you know. All right. So that was my background. What else was I going to tell you? I slipped today. I know, huh? I went to Walmart, and it was raining out. And when I walked in, you know, my shoe slipped on the floor. And you know what? My right leg calf is like super sore now. It feels like it feels like it's swollen or something. So you guys pray for my leg. Yeah. Anyway, what else do I want to tell you? That was for free, that part. Yesterday's show, was a very intense one. I got 2 emails from one of our pillars of the community, and I want to read some of it from Mark. If you didn't hear yesterday's 9/11 show, it was kind of emotional for me. So Mark wrote, Stacy Lynn, he said, "Thank you that we are the salt and the light. Illuminate and preserve. God bless you and Randall for speaking the truth. Being politically correct is wrong, right? And the work of the devil. How can any real Christian not believe there is a devil?" And then he tells me some personal stuff, blah, 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 blah. Then he says, Mark, if you're listening to this, I read your personal stuff. I'm not saying blah, blah to your personal stuff. Just want you to know, which you already know. But anyway, so Mark goes on to say, everything you said yesterday was the truth, and we need to hear it more often. Whether our government was involved in the events or not, the Muslims, and he used a word in front of that I'm not going to say on the air, just so you know. It's not a complete bad word, but it's close. Wanted it and instigated murdering thousands of innocent Americans. Satan is real and behind all the evil in this world. Wake up, Christian Americans. Other Christians in the world are not politically correct, so they can actually see and understand the truth. I had a former friend, I told a former friend to get out of his, well, anyway, I won't read that part to you either. Mark, you're going to make me change the rating on the show. Okay, anyway. So then he says, good people died in the events surrounding 9/11 for reasons that we won't admit now, right? Nor will we teach the real history to our children. Dumb it down, it will be diminished if not forgotten. Just like Islam wants Christians prosecuted and murdered, they want America to go away so there's no voices left against them, and we live in fear of their wrath. The wrath is of the devil. Thank you for putting up with the sheeple and the robots on the web, because there was a lot of bots yesterday, by the way. They are poor, deluded minds that merely want to fit into Sodom and Gomorrahs around us today. And then he says some other stuff and all that. Anyway, I love Mark. And he is a pillar of my community. And he gave me some good feedback. I appreciate it. Also, a couple of days ago, I can't remember. I think I did, but I can't remember. I read you guys some iTunes reviews that we were getting on the show, and I would love it if you watch the show all the time. We do pull the audio from the video here. We pull that, we throw it in the speaker, and that's put into iTunes. So if you're on Apple and you want to subscribe to iTunes, look for Bible News Radio in there. And our recent episodes, there's 2 Bible News Radios. It's the second one with the black in the background on the graphic. That's the one where you need to review it. Well, Dr. Ikena Finch, did I already share this on the show? I can't remember. Anyway, Dr. Ikena Finch, she reviewed our show, and this is what she said. She said, the harps show their passion for Christ in a way that is real and informative. They will respect your opinions, but they will defend their opinions as well, which makes for great interviews and powerful commentaries. Know that you will always get directness wrapped in love. It is truly worth the listen. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that cool? You know, Proverbs 27:2 says, let another man praise you and not your own lips. A stranger and not your own mouth. I memorized that a long time ago. And it's true, you know, that's why.
Are you saying that some of those people are strange?
No, what
Stranger
I'm saying,
than we are?
I'm saying is that it's nice when people say nice things about you, you know?
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh, there he is. Look at that. He showed up on the screen like that, right? Am I pointing the right way?
Yes, you are. You think I would know, but what would it take to
Hey, Vicky Hanky.
get our video on iTunes?
We probably just have to upload it into something. I don't know. I have to look at.
And what if it can be done on the same channel, basically?
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
Did you get the
maybe
Marco Polo I sent you, Vicky? I sent you a Marco Polo, an exclusive clip of Dolly Parton I sent you. Check your Marco Polo. All right. So, what else did I want to tell you? Well, I keep mentioning the pillars of the community, so I want to thank you, all you pillars of the community. Thank you. If you are not aware of what a pillar of the community is, this is our group of friends who love the show and give us a little bit of money every month to help us eat and stuff. And so all you gotta do, if you want to be a part of our pillars of the community, we try to offer some exclusive stuff to our community in our Facebook group. We just ask that you commit to donating $25 a month or more if you can. And that just goes to help us, continue doing what we're doing, teaching the gospel, discipling believers, and sharing the faith all over the place. And so far, I haven't had any complaints from the pillars of the community. And we have some pretty cool people in there, so I want to thank you for that. In fact, I have an announcement. Tomorrow, that's right, tomorrow, Kat Ello, the mama of Joshua Ello, David, and our friend here on Periscope is going to be our guest. Yes, Kat Ello is my guest tomorrow. And also, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever anywhere, next week, on Thursday, another pillar of the community. In fact, my #1 super fan, Melanie Weiser, has agreed to come on our show as well. See, now you're locked in, Mel. Haha. So, Melanie, who is here all the time, who gives us more support than anybody, who is the wind beneath our wings, who gives me more hearts, follows me, and shares out my stuff, and is a super, super, massive supporter of the show and a pillar of our community, has been interested in radio broadcasting and stuff like that. And she went above and beyond in serving our community and our Daily Disciples group or our Facebook group. And she stepped out of her comfort zone and did it, and I'm very proud of her. Just so you know. And so I actually told Melanie about 2 or 3 months ago or 2 months ago that if she wanted to be on our show, then I would let her. So today I followed up and I said, hey, you want to be on my show? And she's like, okay. And you know what? I think it's about time people get to see who Melanie Weiser is. Don't you guys? Put a 1 if you think it's about time we all get to see who Melanie is, right? I know some of you know her, but I think it's about time Melanie, our #1 super fan, gets to be seen by the whole world. Just saying, people, right? I think so. I think there's a lot to Melanie people don't know. And look at that, Melanie, if you're watching the replay because you left, come back in. Anyway, so on Thursday next week, Melanie will be our guest. All right? All right. Okay. And then, of course, I also have some other people scheduled, but this week I think it's just Kat. Yeah. And then I have somebody else scheduled for later. But you're here. See? You see all your fans, Melanie? Huh? Yeah. There you go. Anyway, so Melanie's going to be on the show. All right. So let's get to our lead story, which was what? The drug smuggler one?
That's right.
All right. So are all the trolls left? Are they gone? Hi, Steven Steelers.
Well, there was
What? No, I don't want that. Stop that. Get out of there.
there was one person in here speaking about their experience as a former drug smuggler and got away from it. I was interested in commenting, but I can't see if they're here anymore. So.
Oh. Well, let me say hi to the people that are here. There's Tracy, pillar of our community. Melanie, another pillar. Steven. Hi, Steven. You're the Steeler guy, right? Okay. And Mia, pillar of our community. And paramedic, super paramedic. Vicky, realtor, pillar of our community. Larissa, soon to be pillar of our community. Just so you know. And Grateful Chick. You guys got to listen to her. God loves you. Roma Downey's person is in... No, I'm just kidding. Aaron, is that right? Aaron. Is it Aaron? Danny and Chapel Hill Media and some other people. Did I get it right? Michael? Okay, Michael's here too. So, okay, anyway. Yes. Aaron, I got it right. Yes! I've been working on it. I don't see your name all the time. I forget. Chicago, what's your first name? Don't hate me for not knowing right off the top of my head. Lynn. I should know that. Hi, Lynn. I love your middle... Oh, that's your first name, right? Well, it's my middle name, as you know. Oops. Yeah, Lynn. Like a flowing waterfall. That's what that means. All right, cool. All right, so according to gospelherald.com, there's an article. Listen to this. Drug smuggler converts to Christianity, uses skills to run secret Bible distribution center. Yeah, look at that, huh? Yeah, don't you love these stories? Okay, after converting to Christianity, a man in Central Asia who was once a successful drug smuggler now uses his skills to run an undercover Bible distribution center. Is that awesome or what? Persecution watchdog Open Doors shares the story of Alim, who, as a young man, ran an ambitious drug smuggling smuggling operation in Central Asia. However, he was eventually caught by authorities who locked him away in a prison cellar. While in prison, Alim, or Alim, however you say it, struggled to find his purpose in life. For a long time, I neglected the spiritual questions. I was empty. I didn't want to live, he recalled. One day, his cellmate offered him the New Testament book of John to read, with little else to do, of course, because he was locked up there in prison, because he was a criminal. Lim began reading and soon began asking questions, wrestling with the concept of eternal life. Thank you for sharing, by the way, everybody. Faith, hope, love. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. Reading the gospel in that prison cell, Alim met Jesus, forever changing his life. While serving the remainder of his sentence, he became free from drugs and alcohol and began to grow spiritually. By the time he was released from prison, Alim had decided to enroll in seminary. Eventually, he began pastoring a local congregation. However, because the area was hostile to Christians, the church was forced to meet in hiding, regularly rotating locations. And by the way, I can tell you, that is actually very common. And one of the things that the persecuted church, the underground church worldwide, has to actually deal with. That is a normal practice, by the way. In fact, Voice of the Martyrs, which I used to write their blog, you guys know that. Voice of the Martyrs, they have... I think the DVDs are called there's a book called Extreme Devotion and what is it? Undercover. Anyway, they got these DVDs where people go, where they show the underground church and how they actually do this stuff. So you could go to their website and find out, hey, Jeffrey, there's another pillar of our community. Okay, so...
Yeah, I believe the story's out of Uzbekistan, just for what it's worth.
Okay. It says here... Still, Alim continued his ministry, even put his smuggling skills to use. Today, he directs one of the largest open-doors Bible distribution facilities in all of Central Asia. Alim and his team smuggled the illegal Bibles, discipleship material, resources, and evangelism materials stored here to churches throughout 5 nearby countries, notes Open Doors. This underground network provides believers with the vital words of Jesus to sustain their Christian walk. They also do what Alim's cellmate once did for him, help unbelievers meet Christ, meet Jesus for the first time through the words of the Bible. Of course it's dangerous, Alim said. The authorities will come and search, but the materials are hidden. A sign hangs over the illegal Bibles that displays the words of Proverbs 8:10. Choose my instruction rather than silver, knowledge rather than choice gold. While Alim will return to prison if the Bible distribution center is discovered by authorities, he continues to work tirelessly to spread the gospel. We are here to start a revolution to bring people from death to life, he said. The persecution of Christians runs rampant in some former Soviet states. In fact, Open Doors International listed Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, I don't know how to say that.
Tajikistan?
Yeah, what he said. And Kazakhstan in its 2016 World Watch list of the 50 places where it is most dangerous to be a Christian. Ranked 15th on the list, Uzbekistan is the most persecuting country in Central Asia, and the Republic of Azerbaijan, 34th on the list. Protestants are considered extremists, and that's in quotes for you podcast listeners. The country also has many prisoners of conscience who are Christian, Muslim, or other religions. True. And, you know, it's interesting. I always say, and this is something I've always said, and I don't know, maybe some of you have heard it, but that the people that are the most hostile to Christianity, right? Hi, Rob. The people that are, like, in your face about it, you know, and they have, like, a specific mission and stuff like that. Hey, right, Baker TV. Those people... I always look at them, I go, uh-huh. Now, if they got saved, guess what Jesus is going to do, man? So he used this drug smuggler to switch them to smuggle Bibles. Oh, and that was the other thing I was going to say, too, is that if you guys have never read Brother Andrew's testimony or the books that Brother Andrew has out, or what's the other one? Heavenly Man. Those are 2 really great books that actually give you inside, missionaries who actually do these things. And Brother Andrew, in some of his books, he actually talks about how he was smuggling Bibles and they'd be like right there. The whole stack there'd be like the Bibles, they'd be completely visible to everybody except the guard who needed to see them. It's like God would blind the guards, eyes, and they couldn't see. Or whoever was, checking luggage or whatever, the Bibles would be right there. And they would just, whatever, oh, there's nothing there. And so I laugh because this happens all the time. It happens every single day, right? And yet, part of the work with Randall and me support is the Gideon's International, right? Glory, amen. I think it's awesome, because only God does that, right? Only God can shield the eyes of the enemy, to get his word somewhere. People like to mock God and say, yeah, you know what? God can't do whatever he wants. You're like, oh yeah? Watch my God do this. But God, that's right, man. It is so true. And I read this stuff and my faith gets completely increased, because my God is living and active and sharper than any two-edged sword. And he could do whatever the heck he wants. He doesn't need us, just so you know, but he wants us. And there's difference there. Hey, Jason, nice to see you, my friend. Okay, so think about that. God doesn't need us. He wants us, right? How many of you feel needed by people, right? You feel needed because maybe you do dishes or whatever, right? That's probably a lame excuse, lame thingy. But he wants us, man. He wants us. He wants us. But not only that, and I'm not a prosperity gospel person by any stretch, but he wants to bless us by showing us the reward of our faith if we exercise it. And that's what these guys do, in the persecuted church in particular. They have no choice but to rely on God. Of course, we have no choice really but to rely on God. But the thing is that we tend to rely more on money than we do God. Let's just say it right. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true. You do the dishes. I know. So anyway, Bareface, you have any thoughts on that one? By the way, thank you all for those hearts. You know what? If you guys keep tapping hearts, we're going to hit 10 million. I was kind of thinking we would do it this month, or this week anyway. And here's the thing, you guys, just so you know. When we hit 10 million, I have a box of books I'm going to send to somebody. I don't care where you're at in the world. I'm going to ship them across the world if I have to whoever the winner is. All right, so you guys keep tapping the hearts. We get those 10 million, somebody gets a box of Christian books sent to them. All right? Okay. That's my commitment to you to celebrate getting 10 million hearts, which seems completely insane because a year ago I had like 2,000 or 2 million hearts or something. Now there's almost 10 million, which I know I'm way behind you, Larissa, and other people, but that's all right. It's kind of cool to see them up there, All right, so Bareface, you have any thoughts on that story, the persecuted one, or should we get to the next one?
Well, I think that it's cool that the skills that he learned, acquired through smuggling drugs. The same things apply to smuggling any sort of contraband. In this case, Bibles, and so contraband there. I'm just surprised. I'm sure Alim is not his real name, but if Uzbekistan is, I was trying to read the comment about Irma.
Yeah, the comment said that some people are blaming the LGBT community on Irma. You know what? I have to tell you guys that there are people who are in the prophecy world who are taking things like that and they're saying that. Here's what I'm going to say to that. I rebuke that in Jesus' name. Okay, that's what I'm going to say. And in the past, I might not have. Just so you know. Okay. What I am going to say is the Bible says that the rain falls on the just and the unjust. Just so you know. And so we live in a sin-sick fallen world, right? And so these disasters, hey, this is a result of the fallen world, people. And people who are saying this stuff, it's like, just go talk to the hand, man. I'm not listening to that, right? Okay. All right. Sorry, Bareface. Go ahead and finish what you were going to say.
That was pretty much it. Of course, and of course, whatever country he's in. I just wondered about printing the story puts him in any additional danger, but there's no photo or anything, so probably not. And I'm sure the authorities there in Uzbekistan know that there are, there's Bibles being smuggled, but
Yeah.
as to who's doing it and out of where,
Yeah.
prayerfully they'll never find out.
So Terica is in the house. Hi, Terica. And Danny and Nancy just came in. And Mario, you're here. Thank you guys for being part of the show. Welcome back, Tracy. All right, so let's get to this other article. 20 Christians, including 9 children, massacred in a Nigerian village. Speaking of Christian persecution and bullying, Nigeria, unfortunately, it's a split nation, actually. The president of Nigeria used to be a guy named Goodluck Jonathan. And it wasn't Jonathan Goodluck. It's truly, actually, Goodluck Jonathan is actually his name. And anyway, long story short, Nigeria is under heavy persecution, the Christians there. It says here, at least 20 Christians, including 9 children, were massacred and killed by Fulani herdsmen during an attack on a Nigerian village last week, human rights watchdog organizations are reporting. International Christian Concern, a U.S.-based non-denominational advocacy group, announced in a press release shared with the Christian Post on Monday that 19 members of the Salama Baptist Church in the village of Ancha in the Plateau State were killed by Fulani herdsmen in last Thursday's attack, while one of the deceased was a member of the Methodist Church. At least 5 other Christians were also injured in the assault and were taken to the hospital for treatment. The organization noted that the attack left one entire family with no surviving members, which is so horrible. Well, I mean, it's good for them if they're all believers, though, so I mean, blessing and curse there. But anyway, according to Morningstar News, an independent Christian organization dedicated to reporting on human rights abuses around the world, police believe the attack was an act of revenge after a Fulani boy who resided in the village was beheaded in a nearby village. The question is, who was he beheaded by? I know it wasn't a Christian. Who does beheading, people? Tell me in the chat room. John Boulis, church secretary of Salama Baptist Church in Ancha, told Morningstar News that those killed during last week's massacre came from 3 different households in the 50-home village. Among those killed, he said, were children aged from 3 months old to 17. Hey, Big Reamer's in the house. Greg, how you doing, buddy? According to Bullis, the children killed in the attack are a 3-month-old Azumi, a 3-year-old Lami Monday. Okay, the last name's Monday, just so you know. Abia Ishia, a 6-year-old, and Emmanuel Sunday, a 7-year-old Deba John, 8-year-old Ishia, I know I'm messing their names up, sorry, Sunday, and 9-year-old Sadi Ishia, 10-year-old Ayo John, and 17-year-old Friday John. I don't know what those names are. Yes. Okay. The adults killed in the attack are 18-year-old Bala Ishia, 19-year-old C. Musa, 20-year-old Tana Monday, 21-year-old Musa Ishaya, 40-year-old Ishi, yeah, I don't know how to say these people's names, sorry. 40-year-old Lami Ishiaya, I know Bareface could probably do it better than me. 45-year-old Laraba Bullis, 48-year-old Candy Mandu, 50-year-old Bullis Rohan, 75-year-old Ganda Oda, and 80-year-old Amaru Rohan. Bareface is like trying to whispering it so I can try to hear it. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm so sorry I can't say names. But anyway, it says, my heart is terribly heavy. I haven't been able to sleep. Salama Baptist Church pastor Reverend Nachwa Lavin told ICC, I was called on the phone about 12 midnight when the Fulani militia came into the village. He said that he was awoken when he heard gunshots. He went outside to see what was going on. He said that he noticed 3 people carrying guns and they began to shoot at him. One of them ran after me into the house, and he stood by the door to my room without entering the room or shouting, and after a few minutes he went out to join his colleagues outside. He was quoted as saying, and just as I was thinking about what to do, I heard sporadic gunshots all over the village. They were shooting everywhere in the village, and this lasted for about 25 minutes. Man, that's horrible. I mean, 25 minutes to murder tons of Christians. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's just wicked. Hold on a second. I'm trying to keep scrolling the page, and it's kind of stuck on my thingy here. Well, anyway, the point is that I can't read the rest because my computer is frozen on me. But the point is, let me just say something. Nigeria is a massive hotbed of Christian persecution. I mean, that's the truth. And a couple years ago, I had a guy on our show. He works with Jubilee Campaign. His name's Emmanuel Ogebe. And he shared with me that in one night, 750 churches in Nigeria were burned down. One night. Okay? And you didn't hear about it, did you? I wonder why. I guarantee you if it was 750 mosques that was burned down in one night, you would hear about it for like 5 weeks on the media. But in Nigeria, 750 churches were burned down in one night. And Emmanuel Ogebe actually was in Nigeria. He saw it firsthand. And he came, and Boko Haram was actually behind it. And if you don't know who Boko Haram is, it took our wicked government, and I say that in love, under the Obama administration, and Hillary Clinton as the, what was she, the Secretary of, what was she? Secretary of State. Yeah, that's what it was. Sorry, I'm getting old. Okay, anyway, Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, did nothing to help the people in Nigeria who's, were being persecuted, right? It took Emmanuel Ogebe and another Christian from that area to go to Washington, D.C. to testify in the House, where people go, you can watch C-SPAN, that's what they do, to actually testify. This guy that testified, or maybe it was a woman, it was somebody, almost had their head cut off, right? Before our government would say Boko Haram, which is an Islamic militant terrorist group, before our government under Hillary and Obama would designate Boko Haram as a terrorist group.
Yeah, just...
True story. And I have the audio from the interview I did with Emmanuel, who also has spent time in prison for his faith.
Yeah, just yesterday I was listening to the highlights montage that we did with our interview with him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and so it's kind of fresh in mind. Yeah, it was a man who was a sole survivor of a Boko Haram attack on his village.
Wow.
And yeah, he talked about that.
Wow.
And then I was just noticing in this article that according to the ICC, Fulani militants have attacked over 20 Christian villages, destroyed hundreds of Christian properties, and killed over 200 Christians between October 2016 and September 2017. So, an 11-month. And this is just the Fulani militants. And it's this kind of thing. I thought of it more as a Middle East sort of thing, but apparently it's a West African sort of thing as well. Is that, okay, this is revenge for a little boy being killed. Okay, this boy was killed, we have to wipe out an entire village. This what's the word? Disproportional action, revenge. And which is why, the end of the law of Moses was an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, burn for burn. It wasn't a requirement to get revenge. It's a limit of revenge rather than, oh, you knocked out my tooth, I need to now kill your family. This disproportionate revenge kind of thing. Law of Moses was there to, make it not about emotional revenge, but, look at the actual cost of the crime.
And the comment that just came in about, how it's sad Christians, Jews, and Muslims are being killed, and specifically Muslims are being killed by other Muslims. Mm-hmm. What a lot of people don't understand, and you obviously do understand, is that if you're a Muslim, and let's define it as how do I define it?
Moderate?
A nominal Muslim. Let's just say you're a nominal. I was thinking, what's the equivalent of a Christian that doesn't do what they're supposed to do according to the word? They're a nominal. Okay, so nominal Christians are people who claim to be a Christian, but they really don't do anything. They might go to church on Sunday, and it goes in one ear, out the other. Their life never changes. Let's just say you're a nominal Muslim. You actually don't obey the Quran, and you don't practice Sharia law, and your whole goal isn't to blow yourself up for Allah, okay? Then those Muslims will kill you because they consider you an infidel. You know? Yeah. So, I'm going to probably have Kamal Salim back on our show soon. You know? Yeah, they're infidels. It's a tragedy. Okay. What's also a tragedy is this story. Government spends $138,000 to ask 4-year-old kids about their internal sense of gender identity. Say what, man? What? I mean, really? Yeah. Okay. Well, the part of me that's like wants to smack anybody that messes with children, I just kind of want to, just so you know, in my flesh, I want to smack these people. I do. Listen to this. It says a federal agency is funding a 2-year study being done by the University of Washington on internal sense of gender identity among children aged 4 to 6. The National Science
Foundation.
Okay, this stupid thing that
has awarded a grant of $138,000 for the study.
Okay.
Which involves interviewing 250 children aged 4 to 6 and their parents on gendered behavior.
Okay, got it. Okay. The agency, oh, by the way, so it's linked there to the nsf.gov so you can, so we need to get somebody to fund us, you know, like we need to do a funding on Christianity and the internet or something. I don't know. Get a grant. But we're not nonprofits, so I guess we can't do that. But anyway, it says here, the agency, which was created by Congress in 1950, quote, to promote the progress of science, to advance the national health, prosperity, and welfare, unquote, among other things. Prominent theories of gender development have discussed the degree to which gender identity results from an internal sense of gender and socialization processes, NSF says. However, tests of these theories have been limited because for most children, internal gender identity and environmental socialization substantially overlap, rendering it impossible to distinguish the relative impact of each factor on gender development.
Can we stop here?
Wait, you know why I'm laughing? Because first of all, I never read these articles before I go on the air. So you're getting my honest reaction. Actually, sometimes I do. This one I didn't have time because I was talking to Dolly Parton earlier. Okay.
Can I translate this?
Yes, go ahead. That's why I'm laughing. Because
it's been difficult for us to understand this internal sense because reality gets in the way.
What?
You know, reality gets in the way. Reality substantially overlaps gender identity on the inside, and it hasn't been able to. It's been difficult for us to get the internal gender identity because of reality, that pesky reality, and their actual gender, and society just get in the way, and so you know it's been difficulty for us to isolate and ascertain what the inner reality is.
Hey, Phil.
Anyway, back to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but here's the thing. Listen, I got to read this one more time because this is okay. However, tests of these theories have been limited because for most children, internal gender identity and environmental socialization substantially overlap, rendering it impossible to distinguish the relative impact of each factor on gender development. All right. Now, I have to say that, okay, so for most children, internal gender identity and environmental socialization substantially overlap. Okay, wait. Do you know what they just said this? Okay, look. So basically, who you are, whether you're a girl or boy or whatever, your environmental socialization. So the whole nature nurture thingy, right? Yeah. It's ridiculous. Okay, anyway. It says here the agency calls the project, which is scheduled to be completed in June 2019, people, a critical test of extant theory by examining gender development among children with atypical patterns of gender development.
June, of course.
Of course. Specifically, this grant supports the investigation of whether established theories, example, social learning theory, social cognitive theory, gender schema theory, can account for a wider range of human gender experiences. The gender schema theory proposes that children learn what it means to be male or female from the culture in which they live. Duh. The study is assessing early and current gender socialization, children's internal sense of gender identity, children's gendered behavior, example, preferences for gender-type toys, and measures of related gender cognition, example, memory for gender-consistent versus inconsistent behaviors. Several evangelical leaders, those evil, wicked people, including J.I. Packer and Francis Chan, recently signed a document called Here It Comes! The Nashville Statement. And where is it in the thingy here? Because there it is. Which articulates God's design for human identity as male and female. The document was described by Pastor John Piper as a Christian manifesto on human sexuality. It contains a preamble and 14 articles. Evangelical Christians at the dawn of the 21st century find themselves living in a period of historic transition. Pun intended. No. As Western culture has become increasingly post-Christian, it has embarked upon a massive revision of what it means to be a human being. By and large, the spirit of our age no longer discerns or delights in the beauty of God's design for human life. The preamble reads, the University of Washington study is being led by researchers Christina Olson and Selin Gulsgog. I guess it's not how you say it, but whatever. According to the Washington Free Beacon. The two researchers are also involved with the school's Trans Youth Project, big shocker, which aims to help scientists, educators, parents, and children better understand the varieties of human gender on development. Our current research study is recruiting children aged 3 to 12 who are transgender, gender non-conforming, and siblings of gender non-conforming children. Siblings, rather. The project's website says we are recruiting families from across the U.S. and Canada for this longitudinal study.
At least they do say recruiting. Ugh. I mean,
I don't believe that anybody's born with the other sex brain. I don't know what you're reading or where that idea comes from, but I respectfully disagree with you on that one. I think this is nothing more than indoctrination and a consequence of the homosexualization of the culture for the last 30 years in particular. And just like they promoted homosexuality and flooded the world with that, now the transgender movement is gonna, they're doing it with that. I mean, they're doing that, and what's next, right? I'm asking the question, what's next? Is it going to be bestiality, pedophilia? The pedophiles, by the way, I learned something new, and I'm I know a lot about this agenda. I've been covering it for a long time. I just learned that there's a girl faction of NAMBLA. You know what I'm saying? They're like, okay, NAMBLA is the North American Man-Boy Love Association. They're pedophiles they're adults who want to have sex with children. Their motto is sex before 8 or it's too late, okay? That's just sicko, people. Now, there is actually a woman faction of NAMBLA, which, is like adult women with girls, right? Yeah, I know, right? How far we have fallen, people. Which is why the other night when I was in Awana and I saw those children there learning God's, word and pledging their allegiance to the Bible, and their Christian parents were having them brainwashed to believe the Bible, I was like, I'm in. I'm all in. I'm all in to help indoctrinate children into Christianity. If I have to say it that way, that's what I'm going to say, because that's what I'm here for, just so you know.
Yeah,
right.
If this study was being led by one person from the Trans Youth Project and another one from, say, John Hopkins University, who realizes all this kind of stuff as well. They disagree with it. It's nonsense. They agree with me that it's nonsense. Anyway, then it might have some credibility, but the fact that it's the lead researchers are from the Trans Youth Project, I wonder what they're going to discover. And the government's giving $138,000. I tell you what, I'll tell you what they're going to discover, and I'll do it for 13,000, 10%.
Really?
Give me 13,000.
13,000?
Yeah, I'll tell you what they're going to discover.
Come on, dream it, believe it, and achieve it.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just saying
it's all bias,
It's
yeah.
It's the conclusion is already been made. Why throw money at it? I guess it gives them time. It buys them time to print up what they want to say.
Yeah. Well, I go back to here's the thing. I go back to the conference, the SESCAL conference I went to a couple years ago. And that was a conference, and I'm going to pull up the name so I can actually read it to you because it's right here. It's the Center for Excellence in School Counseling and Leadership. All right, if you're new to the show, I have a master's in clinical psychology. I used to counsel in schools, and I used to do marriage and family therapy, child therapy, blah, blah, etc. Anyway, so I went to this event. It was the Center for Excellence in School Counseling and Leadership. It was run by a lesbian psychologist, and the whole purpose of this event was to show counselors in the public school how to make their office and their environment pro-gay. Okay, true story. All right, so I went to this conference, and there was a panel, and I already shared this a million times on this show, so if you already heard it, sorry, but it's worth sharing again because it really, really will tell you a lot. The guy that led it was actually a guy, okay? But he had trans to a woman. He became a woman, so-called woman. And then he got confused. He said, I'm not sure I want to be a woman. Maybe I'll go back to a man. And then he kept going back and forth, right? Having surgeries and doing this stuff. Well, he held a panel, right? And the whole purpose of the panel was to convince, well, actually it was a panel with children and their parents. And one of the things that they were complaining about, the parents of these children, were that their kid felt like the different gender, but they were having problems trying to find a doctor to give hormones, right, to their kids because there was very few doctors out there. And anyway, long story short, I'm sitting in the back as a spy at this event, and I'm like going, all right, Lord, look, you're going to have to hold me back here because I really want to go up there and sock that person right now. And so at one point I raised my hand and I said, can you explain to me how how are we gonna explain this in the literature? My undergrad is in child development and human development. There's gazillions of research about how children develop. And the enemy, and I mean Satan in that regard, who controls these people, is basically saying, hey, you know what? We're going to mess with the fact that little boys, when they're little, they like other little boys, and little girls like little girls, and not in a sexual way. That's just how we are developed, right? And then it's older, then we all of a sudden, because kids are like, oh, you got cooties, But when you get older, then you start getting interested in the other sex, right? Because hello, you got hormones, etc., blah, blah, blah. So this guy who's confused about his own gender, who's leading this transgender workshop, actually said to me, oh, don't worry, we'll figure it out. We'll make it say whatever we want it to say. And he said, don't worry, if you want to talk to me later, you can come up and we discuss it more. And I'm like, what the heck? Now, Chastity Bono was at this thing, pretending to be a man, Chaz, a.k.a. Chaz. And so I got to see her speak, or him, depending on if you want to call her a he, but she's still not a man. She's a girl, pretending to be a boy. But whatever, she was at this thing, Chaz. Stuart Milk, who is the nephew of Harvey Milk, the pedophile gay guy that was elected in office in San Francisco, who was murdered by a friend, by the way, who was a Democrat. But they like to blame on Christians, by the way, just so you know. And he had a stamp recently done about him, and a holiday, just so you know. That guy was a pedophile. Anyway, Stuart Milk, his nephew, was at this thing. And I wish to this day I had gotten pictures, but I didn't. I should have, because I would be showing them to you to prove that I was there. But the truth is, I was there, and you know, and it's a clear agenda. Even the lesbian psychologist that was leading this thing was like, "Don't say the word homosexual, just say the word gay." You ever figure out why that's the thing? Do you ever figure out how come they don't want you to use the word homosexual? Well, this lesbian said it's because it connotes sex. See, they have taken this whole thing, right? Homosexuality, we don't talk about it that way, because when you use that, it's all about sexuality, right? But now they made it all in your head. It's all about your brain. It's really not about your body parts that God made you. It's a direct mockery of God and his creation, if you think about it. And it's a direct attack on the fact that God made you in his image. So, of course, Satan is going to do anything he can to mar the image of God in humanity. What better way than to get you confused about how God made you in the first place? And start with the fact that you're a kid and you get screwed up in the beginning of your development. And if you have parents who are screwed up, who've never dealt with their issues, you know, and I know some people would say, well, I tried to deal with my issues. Maybe you have. But you know what? There's also a thorn in the flesh. And maybe that's your thorn, so that just like Paul had a thorn, you know, you can learn that my grace is sufficient for you in your weakness. Amen. Right? I mean, we all struggle with something, but this direct attack on humanity here that's what it is. It's a direct attack on humanity, because Satan wants you to go to hell with him, just so you know. Okay? That's the bottom line right there. So we see it in our culture. We see it in Islam. We see it in this movement. We see it with the denigration of the family in general. We see it with marriage. And you know what? This means we're at the end, right? I mean, we're at the end of the age. It's not just here in America, you know. But, you know, going back to somebody who said the hurricanes and stuff was because of the LGBT stuff. I will say this, and I do find this very interesting. I do find it interesting that the biggest hurricanes and stuff and all of the biggest natural disasters seem to be happening in the populations where there's a large gay population. I do find that interesting, but I'm not saying that that's because God's judgment is specifically there, because like the Bible says, it rains on the just and the unjust, but it doesn't go unnoticed by me anyway, you know. And yet when the fire took place, I think it was in Florida, and all that took place, you know, again, the media forgets that it was that population that did it to themselves. It wasn't the Christian population. It was their population. And just like Proverbs says, you know what? The wicked man will fall into his own pit. I mean, bottom line, right? But anyway, our job here is to encourage people to stand for the truth, right? Running the Race by the Allen Family. Yeah. I actually haven't heard that one. So if you want to tweet it to me, I'll play it and listen to it. Anyway, I could go on and on, but I think our time's almost up, right?
Yeah, almost.
All right.
We should.
So you guys have any questions or anything? Oh, by the way, what else? Oh, Ariel Ministries. We might want to mention them.
Definitely.
I don't think we mentioned our sponsor.
Nope.
We thank our sponsor, Ariel Ministries. The show was brought to you in part by Ariel Ministries. You can go there. We love the Jewish people here on this show, just so you know. And Ariel is a Messianic Jewish ministry, and it seeks to evangelize the Jewish people for a reason, because we want the Jews saved for sure, and Gentile believers alike. Okay, anyway, you can go to ariel.org, save 20% when you use the coupon code Bible News. And they are still selling the D.L. Cooper series for $32, I think, right? And you can save 20% there. Yeah, go there. Actually, it's right on the front page now. I think you can click through on the Ariel website and see that. And the Yeshua book, there's going to be an abridged Yeshua book available next month. And if you guys want that, if you don't want all four of the Yeshua books that they have now, the whole series, you can get the abridged version. And I'm moving in my chair. That's like a real reporter would do. Yep. Could you imagine that, like Megyn Kelly doing this on her show? Yeah. Anyway, I'm not Megyn Kelly, obviously. Anyway, the other thing is, you are so welcome. All right, so, what was the, oh, I know there's one other thing. Oh yeah, my course, you guys, Your Secrets Are Not Secret. If you guys haven't bought that yet, and you don't support our show, like if you're not a pillar of our community and you just don't donate or whatever, if you want to support us in a small way, enroll in my class. Your Secrets Are Not Secret. Stop lying to yourself. It's a really good study. It really is. And it's not on sale anymore, unfortunately for you, because, I had it on sale all last week. But it's only $29, and you can get your money back, okay? If you don't like it, I'll give it back to you. I'll cry, if I have to give it back. But no, seriously, I would love it if you enrolled, because it's my first course ever. It's like my baby. I want you to, to grow in your faith. So if that is something you want to do, then it's also linked on our website. And or here in Periscope. If you click the linky in there, then you can go through and go to all of our links there. And also, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, I still want 100 subscribers. I'm like, how many away am I? I'm trying to think. I think I'm 12 away. So I need 12 people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel or the what? I don't know which thing are you asking? I don't know. Okay, so the link
in the profile.
In our profile here on Periscope, if you just click on that link, it takes you to all of my other links. It's a link tree link. It's a very cool thingy. I like it. Anyway. Yeah. I think that's it, right? Not? What? Jeff? As bad as it is in the world, I don't think this even close to what it will be like when it raptures. Yeah. I know. It's true. I always think about the rapture almost every day. I think about it.
Yeah.
I do. Because you know what? And thank you, Kat. By the way, everybody, Kat face there. She's my guest tomorrow night. This is going to be a fun interview. I guarantee it. Yeah, Kat is going to be in the house. This is going to be fun. We're going to talk about, I'm going to dig into her psyche. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what I'll do, but it'll be a fun interview.
Did I mention the Pope in the, lead in?
I don't think so, but you might have.
Yeah, if I did, it needs to be covered.
The second rapture.
I can do that real quick, if you'd like.
Sure. Go ahead.
All right.
So the Pope said something stupid, which is
literally,
which is here. This is a funny thing. The Pope said something stupid, like that's unusual, right? Sorry, don't mean to be mean to the Pope. He's holy
use
and
the
everything.
Word stupid,
but
Pope. This story out of Zaire. Pope quotes Bible to call climate change deniers stupid.
So he's calling me stupid. In other words, can you believe that, people? The Pope. I don't like the Pope now because he called me stupid. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it didn't rain as much as it did yesterday here. I would say the climate changed. Anyway. So, passage from the Bible's Old Testament that dismisses men as stupid is the best way to describe deniers of climate change, according to Pope Francis. Why are we waiting to acknowledge the effects of climate change? Francis asked reporters on his flight back from Colombia. And by the way, according to a Catholic website, the Pope takes commercial carriers. He doesn't have a Pope plane.
What? No way. Really? He doesn't have a Pope mobile?
And they will often take out a number of seats. He does
Call
get
it global warming.
He does get to sit alone in the first row of business class. Anyway.
Yeah. He sits in business class?
Or first class or whatever.
Yeah,
it takes about 30 people.
He's part of the Illuminati, right? We know that.
Anyway.
How come
I'm reminded of an old phrase in the Old
Okay.
Testament from the Psalm, "Man is stupid." Anyway, goes on, says those who deny climate change should go to scientists and ask them. They speak very clearly. Scientists are precise. They can see the effects of climate change, and scientists clearly say what path we should follow. It's not a consensus.
Yeah,
dear Pope, it is a convention. There are many, that give their reasons for the theory of climate change, and there are plenty more. There's, not plenty more, but there are also plenty very well-educated people who have compelling reasons why, man is not responsible for any sort of climate change.
Well, I change the climate when I use a fan. I put the I turn the fan on, and it makes it cooler in my house.
Control the climate.
Yeah. Well, the Pope, yes, he might help poor people, right? But this is a guy who lives in a palace. He's like against guns, but he has guards that have guns. Just saying, people. And he doesn't encourage people to read the Bible. Can you believe that? I mean, what kind of Pope does that, huh? Yeah, just saying. I change the climate when I exhale. Exactly. That's right. You know what? There's so many things
I believe in seasons as well.
There's so many things I could mock, but I can't help it. You're my 85th YouTube subscriber. Yay, Phil. All right, and I actually just followed you back, so now I can see you all the time when you come in. So, yeah, I try to upload stuff to YouTube, but sometimes if I play a song or something, they will block it like they did yesterday's show. So, you just have to watch it on Periscope. Unfortunately. But in my opinion, Periscope is the best platform out there. YouTube is great, but Periscope is better. I love Periscope, just so you know. Oh, and if you guys want to review us on iTunes or follow us on Spreaker. See, the thing on Spreaker, in order to get into iHeartRadio again, I used to be in there when I was on Blog Talk because I had all these followers. Of course, nobody followed me back. Blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I got 20 followers. I need 100 on that in order to do that. When Jesus arose, those who slept in God arose with him, proved the first rapture of the return rapture. Pope lives outside of the vacated. What is your channel? What is my channel where? On Spreaker, it is...
Or YouTube?
On, if you just click the link in our
profile
bio here, yeah, then you can see all of our links. You can go to our Bible News Radio classroom and enroll in my class. You can... Oh, and that's the other thing, too. I want to do another class. So you guys tell me what you want me to do a class on, and I'll do it. And then I'll charge you for it. So I can, feed my dogs. And Bareface. Yeah, Bareface has to eat as well. Oh, that was the other thing. Our Seek Wisdom BNR Proverbs Challenge of the month that I made up. This is where you read a chapter of Proverbs every day corresponding with the day, which is like today's the 12th, so read Proverbs 12. And you find one verse in there that you like or you stood out, which you should like it all because it's God's word, just saying. Anyway, but find a verse, tweet it out with the hashtag BNR Seek Wisdom. Yeah. And I've been doing that, and I've been sending it in my email. Just so you know. All right, I think that's it. I got a yawn. Hold on a minute. It's quite amazing. Yeah. It's quite amazing the stuff I've done on live streaming. I've yawned, I've sneezed, I've coughed, I've blown my nose, I've cried a lot, I laugh a lot. I can't remember if I've said bad words. I probably have. I've played pickleball. Yeah. Night. I love you too, Kat. Looking forward to tomorrow. That's going to be fun. I should start that, but missed the first week. That's okay. You can just pick up any time. Because look, there's how many more days in September? 18 or something. Is that right? Am I good in math?
Yes.
Not really that good, but...
And you didn't even have to take your shoes off.
I'm
impressed.
The Pope doesn't live in the Vatican? Okay, well, yeah. Well, I'm not an expert on the Pope, but I don't really like him. Hi, Marlene, and thank you for sharing the...
But you do love him, I hope.
Far away. My mom
Really
said,
fun.
I love you far away. Yeah, so that's one of my favorite sayings. I love you far away. Oh, the other thing. I knew there was one other thing. If you guys like social media, right? And you love Vicky _Fitch, and also Chocolate Johnny Face. If you like Chocolate Johnny and Vicky, they're both speaking at this New Zealand social media conference.
Them and 28 others, I think.
Yes, a whole bunch of people. And it's going to be Friday, the 14th or 15th. Well, yeah, right there. It's 15th and 16th. If you want to get a live stream ticket and watch them and all the other people, if you're interested in building your social media, then click through the bit.ly link there. It's also on my Twitter account. And buy the ticket. It's like $73 American. It will say 100, but that's actually New Zealand dollars. Click through, buy that. And if you do, that's an affiliate link for Bible News Radio. It will get like a little kickback from that. I don't know how much, but anyway, you could, support Bible News Radio that way too. If you want to be part of the New Zealand thingy and, all that, which I don't know how many of you do, but in the event there's one of you, then there you go. You can just click there and you can learn more. So I hope you do. And don't forget, one last thing before we go tonight. Next month in October, it is my 49th birthday coming up. And I want you to celebrate it with me by continuing to watch our show. But also, we're going to Oklahoma to the Prophecy Watchers Conference. And many of the guests that we've had on this show over the last 10 years are going to be at that conference. So we're going to be trying to do on-the-spot interviews with people like L.A. Marzulli and Bill Salas and Ron Rhodes and other people like that who are going to be there. Billy Crone, Pastor Billy Crone, Gary Stearman, Tom Horn, Derek and Sharon Gilbert, who, incidentally, if you hear the opening of my show, that's Derek Gilbert from Skywatch TV, just so you know. And and Bob Ulrich, who is the co-host with Gary Stearman over at Prophecy Watchers. They have invited us to be their guest, and me and Bareface are driving there from Tennessee. We're going to spend the weekend there, and we're going to do the interviews, hopefully. So if you're in the Oklahoma area, let us know. Doug Woodward, also, we're going to be seeing him too. So there's a lot more. I can't name Carl Tykrib, yeah. So Tommy Ice, Randall Price, Bill Koenig, and Jonathan Kahn. Yes, Jonathan Kahn.
Whom we have not interviewed yet.
I haven't interviewed him, but all I gotta do is send the guy the info. I just haven't done it yet because I'm so busy doing other stuff. But yeah, all these people, me and Bareface will have direct access to. We'll get to hug them and say, "Yay! I can't believe I finally met you in person. It took forever." But anyway, so if you're in the area in Oklahoma, in Norman, Oklahoma. You can do that and meet me and Bareface in person if you so desire. I know it's a dream of a couple of you, but maybe not all of you. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if it's really a dream or a nightmare. But I guarantee that if you meet me in person, you'll probably be taller than I am and probably thinner. And I'll give you a nice warm hug, just so you know. Okay, all right. I think that's it.
Yeah, we should wrap this up.
All right, everybody. Remember, be bold, stand up, and go with God, because He loves you. And we'll see you tomorrow night with Kat. Kat Face is our guest. So, and then Jason's gonna be our guest too soon as well. So be good. Okay, bye.